Yeah, hey everybody, this is Richard, and this is the last Den of Iniquity session for the Gaunt Marches for Gauntlet Hangouts. Gaunt Marches is a Dungeon World based shared world campaign that I am running with Horse Worse and Spencer Haskett and Jim Crocker, and soon with Paul Stack Sargent, who will be awesome. And with sessions coming up at GauntletCon, run by Jim. So we have been running a Dungeon World offshoot known as Funnel World, which is all about taking villagers and putting them into terribly deadly situations and seeing how they do. It's inspired by a combination of Dungeon World and Dungeon Crawl Classics. And we have been specifically running The Price of Evil by Zzarchov Kowolski, which is a haunted house toolkit. So if you run The Price of Evil, there is no guarantee you will have the same haunted house that we do here. So it is a wonderful toolkit. I recommend it to anybody. I am joined by a steadily dwindling cast of characters played by 4 really, really talented players. And I'm going to have everybody introduce their surviving characters, and I think I'm going to start tonight with Tony. And real quickly, this is a Gauntlet Hangout session, so the Gauntlet inclusivity policy is in effect, and the Gauntlet or the X card is on the table. We've also set up some really basic lines and veils, so that kind of inform us on sort of what our boundaries are and kind of creating horror together. So sorry, Tony, didn't interrupt, but going over to Tony.
Okay, so my remaining character's name is Halig. He is a Thatcher field worker who is, as part of this party, he was accompanying this group mainly for a guy named Worthington, who was a scout. And I say was because at the end of last session, Worthington met a fiery doom. Halig is not so bright in that he will often be the first to head straight into danger. However, he has a silent wisdom behind his glassy eyes, in which he often smiles through his missing teeth to show his confidence. So far, he's gotten along moderately well with everybody, but it's mainly his only friend that he's really made a connection with was Worthington. So now he's kind of distraught and crestfallen. So.
And Worthington met a fiery end, but the house itself did not catch fire, nor did the room burn down. It was just suddenly filled with smoke. And from there, thank you, Tony. I'm moving over to Josh.
All right. Well, my remaining character is named Tolan. He is a fisher person. He's kind of a jerk. He's pretty lazy and deceitful. He'll try and get other people to do stuff for him, or trick them into, or at least try and trick them into doing the dangerous thing. He's not the brightest character, but he kind of just goes about doing whatever he wants, which can get him into some serious trouble. And I was also playing Worthington, and he met that fiery end kind of at his own hands. But that was, So Yeah, that's about all I've got with my characters.
All right, Tolan has may not be the brightest, but is slowly discovering the concept of a meat shield.
Yeah.
All right, and over to James.
All right, I still managed to have 2 left somehow. And I've got Killian, who is a gardener, hedge keeper, aspiring wizard, who has just discovered a functioning spirit board and was sort of totally overboard, fascinated with that. And I also have Emil, who is a young noble and unreasonably sure of himself in that role. And he had this kind of creepy fascination with Nerthus, who just died. And the last thing that he did was sort of to pull the knife from her face in a kind of a moment of shock and horror.
And over to Andy.
Yeah, so my surviving character is Iffield, the potter, who doesn't really understand this whole social thing very well and has this really impulsive and severe crush on Killian. Meanwhile, Answaru the peddler also met a fiery end when a burning log shot out of the fireplace and smashed him in the face.
I'm sure there's nothing supernatural about that. So I did want to check in really quickly, and Killian and Ifeld, you were both in the game room.
Mm-hmm.
Could you set the scene for me? What was happening there besides Enzwaru, having lit a beautiful fire, had the fireplace spit the log back out at him and knock him dead.
So mostly it started when we found an arcane spirit board and Killian decided that he wanted to try it out. Iffield wanted to stop him, and the only plan that came to mind was to kiss him in the middle of everything.
I'm sure that wasn't self-interested at all.
No. Well, you know, she was very low on options that came to her mind at that point.
Gotcha. All right.
It just seemed logical. And in the middle of all that, some weird stuff happened.
And what was the last? One of them was the fireplace spitting a log out and killing Enzwaru. Why didn't the two of you respond at the time?
Enzwaru was very, very busy just checking out these weird dice that were crying on the table.
Right.
Because, hey, you know, that's cool. He can totally sell these things.
And he didn't seem to notice that the two of you were kissing.
No.
Killian, the two of you didn't seem to notice that he was being attacked by the fireplace either, did you?
No, that's right. Somewhere between the spirit board and the kiss, we were totally transcended to some other plane and seemed to be in touch with the spirits that were in the house. And
there was some sort of entity like extending itself into us or something like that. You know, it kind of felt like, at least from my end, like I wasn't entirely the one doing things.
Right. Notably kissing.
Yes. It's like I started with that idea, but I get to a point where it's like, whoa, wait a second, this isn't exactly me.
Right.
And so people were dying around us, we didn't notice. And then I believe it was Iffield who broke the trance and backed away. and then we were confronted by a growling bear.
There had been a large taxidermied bear in the room.
Yes, that's right.
Tapped on and confirmed was hollow and taxidermied, which would not explain why it's growling at you now and eyeing you like it's about to surge forward.
Iffield was already severely worried about that when they found it initially, and apparently she's been somewhat vindicated.
You know, I have no idea why people always suspect the taxidermy bear of being about to attack. Let's switch gears and head over to Hallig. Hallig, what was the last thing you were doing before?
I think Hallig was. He had just crashed through the door with his hatchet and discovered the smoke and everything emanating. So he was mourning the loss of Worthington, who lie as but a husk of a man on the floor, probably unidentifiable for all intents and purposes, but Hallig knew, you know. Right. So at this point, Hallig is I think at this point Hallig is just like hearing maybe the sobs, a similar type of pain that down the hall from Emil, just kind of like reacting to Nerthus's death, and he might just kind of like almost crawl over to Emil just to see what's going on, kind of like his body is like almost shaking to the point where he has to drop his axe and just kind of try to make contact with another human at this point.
And Emil, you had just finished extracting the knife from Nerthus. It pierced right through her like skull. Is that the last thing you did, or kind of set the scene for us there?
As I remember it, it was this knife had like flown out of the kitchen and just went right through her, right between her eyes, into her skull and killed her.
And she had pushed you down.
She pushed me down, and then her body fell on top of me, and I was like screaming, totally lost my shit. And I think it was Hallig that sort of rolled her off me.
Right.
And then I was sitting there in shock, looking at her body, looking at the knife in her face, and was just kind of like out of it, thinking like something's wrong. I have to put it right again. And so kind of grabbed the knife and extracted it. And then this knife still had this kind of life of its own, and it was kind of pulling and moving. And I was sort of beginning to see where it would go.
And then we end with Tolan.
All right. Well, Tolan, after getting a pretty good scare in the chapel-like room, he left and was kind of trying to find the others, just because he didn't want to be the only one around with whatever that thing was. He assumed some kind of demon or something. Mm-hmm. He ended up finding a room. He ended up finding a room with a woman lying on a bed that basically is like the perfect description of what he's attracted to. So
she had paintings of the sea around her with reddish hair and freckled skin, and she had the cover sort of wrapped around her.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you entered the room, the door closed and your candle went out.
Not creepy at all.
That's that's not creepy at all. So from there, I think I'm going to pick up with Emil and Hallig. Hallig, you were coming towards Emil. Were you you said you were crawling towards him as you sort of just kind of sank to the floor in despair, and you crawled back towards Emil. And you were approaching him. Emil, as Hallig was crawling towards you, the knife started to twitch again in your hand. And you decided to turn and sort of follow it where it was pointed. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And it's sort of twitching in your hand. When you could swear from the closed ballroom door, you hear the music begin to start again. And this is the string music that seems to be sort of predominantly like a hammered dulcimer sort of sound. And as it begins, the knife sort of still in your hand, not lurching out of it, it sort of leads your hand to where it's pointed straight at Hallig as he's coming down the hall towards you slowly. Looking, Hallig, it sounds like you are visibly upset.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think I'm just looking up, probably maybe even tears streaming down and just or just at least bloodshot eyes.
You were saying you were crawling, because you've not even stood up since you sort of sank to the floor.
Right. I think, yeah, at this point I might see the knife and maybe at that point realize that I'm in a little bit of a threat. After a moment, I don't know.
Yeah, so Emil's knife has sort of led his hand back around towards you. Emil, you see Hallig sort of coming towards you, kind of crawling along the floor, visibly distraught. And you hear this little refrain of music from the dulcimer sort of emanating from the ballroom. And it's a fairly simple little 3/4 sort of dancing, refrain. And then all of a sudden, that same musical phrase is sort of picked up by the organ coming from the chapel. The organ you're pretty sure you heard even far out into the swamps in the Everslough, when you were still several hours travel from the house. And it repeats the exact same musical phrase in the same kind of lilting, dancey sort of pattern. What did the two of you do?
I think as the knife is kind of pulling me towards Hallig, Hallig is crawling towards me. It's starting to dawn on me that it wants to get into him. And so I don't know how to tell him that. So I'm just start whispering his name. I just say, Hallig. Hallig.
This is now, I need to just assessment of the area. Is there anything for me to pick up around? I mean,
you're sort of in a hallway, so there's not much except the long sort of runner carpet that goes down the middle of the hallway.
So at this point, my hatchet is down the hall, and I'm like, maybe I have the candle. I don't know if I have the candelabra, if I set that down. I think Hallig is.
Yeah, I think you left the candelabra outside the door to the ballroom, so it's still there. He'd
Yeah.
be 15 feet behind you.
I think Halig is actually gonna get up again and just kind of back away now, go towards that candelabra, because he's realizing that like something isn't right. Like, it almost looks like I mean, you're holding the knife with blood on it, right? And nothing's right here. Even though I'm pretty sure that I first came over there, found you, and that's when I saw the fire and stuff like that. But so he's going to back away and go towards the candelabra, but he's not going to turn his back on you.
So I still have the knife and it's still pulling me towards you, and I'm just saying, Alec, I can't let go of it, Alec.
He's like, listen to me, Emil. Just hold on. Just hold on to that, and don't let go.
I can't.
And at this point, he's like crouched, but he's a little bit more perched, somewhere between a squat and standing. And he's gonna go and like search with his hands for the candelabra, basically just like slowly stepping backwards and trying to grab it.
I think Emil will try to sort of plant his feet and resist the pull of the knife, and hopefully not advance any further.
It sounds like you're trying to defy danger with strength, Emil.
Yeah.
Why don't you roll that? And you're at -1.
I am at -1. So I'll take these 2 orange. Reroll them. That's a 7 - 1. Is a 6.
Yeah, I think, Emil, what happens is you're not able to sort of get free. It's sort of the motion of the knife just sort of presses your hand into the hilt. So much so that you start to get splinters in your hand, and it just sort of yanks you along the hallway. Your feet are just sort of dragging after it. What do you do, Halig?
I think Halig now is gonna I mean, hopefully has the candelabra in his hand, and as I'm kind of imagining like the candelabra being used as a defensive means and just like trying to swipe away the knife or disarm him, but
Right.
like with a swipe of the candelabra.
I'm going to have you roll hack and slash.
Okay.
Actually, no. Let's defy danger with dexterity there.
Okay. Yeah, so I had 0, but okay, so I'm gonna use the blue die. All right. Okay, I only get a 5.
Wow, Halig.
Should have used my real dice.
I'm just gonna. Halig, I'm gonna need you to roll a D4.
All right. 2.
All right. So Emil is dragged on behind this knife that he seems to not be able to let go of. And then all of a sudden, like you raise the candelabra. And you swipe at it, you sort of flail around at it. and the knife sort of like scrapes along the edge of your collarbone before you sort of roll away from it. And Emil, what do you normally wear? Sort of what is your normal clothing, or what is your clothing right now?
Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know if the picture that I picked is appropriate to the time or not, but it would be whatever the fancy, wealthy people wear, right? Like sort of maybe richly embroidered coat with sort of a belt that's sort of encrusted with some sort of at least gold or silver and maybe a few jewels.
Right.
A hat with feathers in it, and
yeah, I think
traveling gear.
The candelabra almost sort of smacks you in the head, but you turn your head, and then the candles catch the feather. And Halleck, you're bleeding from this sort of wound right along your collarbone that aches. And it takes a second for it to start aching. But in that split second, sort of before you fully process what happens, Emil, the candelabra catches your hat feathers on fire. And I'm going to need you to roll a D4.
That's a 3.
So, Halleck, you weren't there when Worthington died. But you're hoping it was faster than what's happening to Emil right now, because as the feathers shifted and his hat started to fall, his hair catches fire. Halleck, what do you do?
I think I'd probably try to like beat it out of him. Like
Using what? Using
right, like probably take what I'm wearing, like a cloak or let me see. Sorry, pull up the character sheet. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just take whatever cloak or jacket I'm wearing and try to get the flames out, snuff them out.
Why don't you defy danger with Constitution?
Okay. Here it is. Roll for your party. All right. Okay, I get 8.
8?
Yes, 8.
So you reduce the damage Emil takes by 1. So Emil, you are down to 1 hit point. And it's still, you're noticing that even through all this, and Amelia, your hair and your collar and your hat are ruined. And you've not been able to look in a mirror, but you're pretty sure there are burn marks on your face. It hurts very, very badly. When both of you realize that that sound of the dulcimer, followed by the organ repeating the same phrase, followed by more from the dulcimer, it's got a percussion beat now, sort of somewhere behind it, coming from somewhere nearby. And I think that's when you both notice that Nerthus' foot, still on the ground, is tapping out the rhythm as reliably as an automated drum. And I think that's when we go to Tolan. And Tolan, the room becomes oddly warm. And you realize that the darkness has got some ripples of light in it. And you have this weird feeling of just sort of descending and sinking. When you feel hands sort of grab you sort of behind the neck. And in the darkness, you sense a face coming towards your face, and you realize you're underwater. And that somebody with very long hair is trying to kiss you. What do you do?
At first, he's like in shock and really confused by all this, and he was kind of bumbling when they came in, and just like like assuming this was the lady of the house, and apologizing to her, and now this singing sensation and being in the water, he kind of has a moment of, well, maybe this is a dream, but and so he's kind of imagining, the woman he saw must just be his dream, and he's going to go with the kiss because he doesn't see any problem with that.
And as you get very close to being kissed, you hear a female voice, even kind of echoing under the water, say, "Will you help me?"
He'll try and speak back. Speaking underwater isn't exactly easy.
Yeah, whoever it is presses their hand sort of over your mouth and just moves your face as if you're like supposed to go yes or no.
He shakes his head yes. Is he getting any kind of like drowning sensation?
Not quite yet, though you're realizing you've not tried to breathe.
Yeah.
And she's like, and the voice is like, no matter what.
So he still is assuming this is some kind of dream. So he shakes his head yes again.
And the hand comes off your mouth, and you feel lips, very, very warm lips pressed against yours. And then you feel someone breathe into your mouth.
He takes a deep breath from it.
And then you're standing in that bedroom, but instead of your candle, which is still not lit, it's still in your hand. It's lit by 5 or 6 sort of lanterns, sort of like small lanterns, sort of hanging from around the room that seem to have come on. And there's the very nice bed, along with 2 nightstands on either side. There, not much else in the room except the woman who's sitting on sort of she's kind of sitting at the foot of the bed with the covers wrapped around her, and she's sort of drawn you towards her, and she's clearly just kissed you.
He's kind of looking at her, and he drops his candle, and he's like, that wasn't a dream, was it? Some kind of magic, mermaid magic, wasn't it? You're a mermaid, aren't you?
Do you want me to be a mermaid?
What do you mean?
I think this is when you start hearing the organ music. She's like, is a mermaid what you want?
So I'm trying to leave the village to find a mermaid.
Oh, good. I can arrange for you to have what you want. I just need you to make arrangements to have what I want.
And what is it you want?
And I think we're going to switch over from there to the bear, which is with Ifield and Killian, who have only recently stopped kissing themselves, to notice the bear, and Zzarchov's body sort of lying on the ground with a very, very blackened and singed sparking log sort of just having nearly embedded itself in his head, clearly killing him. And the bear is sort of like kicking back. It's clearly getting ready to charge the two of you when you begin to hear music coming from the main gallery. Those repeated phrases of the strings followed by the organ, followed by the strings, followed by the organ. What do the two of you do?
So we've kind of got this cascading realization of what exactly is going on here. There's a growling. What food do we have left?
You all had, you know, at least a day's of extra food on you.
I'm going to start tossing what I can at the bear, starting with the meat.
It seems like you're trying to defy danger with intelligence.
Same.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Trying to outsmart the bear.
See if I can like satisfy the bear and get it to leave us alone. That is a 10.
Nicely done, Newfield. You grab, what is it you carry that's dried, that's especially fragrant and likely to distract a bear?
There's this, I think there's this smoked deer jerky.
Okay.
That it's kind of, I think I probably crack it a little to get some of the aroma out before tossing it. And it's very nicely slightly salted.
Nice. You sort of reach into your pack very quickly, crack it, and toss it into the air. And the bear sort of like grabs it in its mouth and then sort of does a spin. And it does that thing that a lot of kind of doggish, bearish creatures do, where it gets something and it sort of like turns around, and it starts sort of woofing it down. Mm-hmm. And in the process of turning around, it sort of knocks the door open, which makes the music, just as the organ is doing one of its sort of sequences, makes the music swell, and it sort of like turns away. It moves into a corner and just finish woofing the food down. What do the two of you do?
I'm running.
If you're just running, Killian, what about you?
Killian's like, I think Killian's this whole time has his hands on the pointer for the spirit board and is just waiting for Iffield to come back, and is like, sort of, you know.
And now there's a bear.
Yeah, which is fine. We don't need to worry about the bear. We can go to the place where we don't get hurt by flying burning logs. It just goes past us. We can go back to that place if she'll just come back to the board, but she runs away. And so I think Killian's like, well, I'm gonna have to go there without her. And he sort of closes his eyes and presses his hands on the board and is just sort of trying to put himself back into the trance of awareness of the spirits that were in contact with him before. That's a stuffed bear. Whatever is animating it, you know, if he's in contact with that, then the bear, he feels confident the bear's not going to hurt him.
So I just want you to know, James, that if you were playing Dungeon Crawl Classics, I would make you save versus Teenage Lust. But we're not. So, you know,
he may yell like, "Get back here!" But he's committed.
Yeah. And you're trying to get the attention of the spirits to sort of protect you again.
Yeah, to be in contact. This is the most magical thing he's ever experienced, and he wants that.
So let's have you defy danger with charisma.
How are we doing on that?
You're trying to use wits and charm to get the spirits back, I think,
All
is
right.
probably the closest.
I like that. So I'm a -1, and I'm going to re-roll these. And 8 minus 1 is still a 7.
And Killian, I think you're sort of fumbling with the board and closing your eyes very, very tightly as the bear sort of moves back. As soon as Iffield is out the door, the bear sort of moves back between the door and you see it just as you close your eyes. You see it swallow the meat. And you put your hands on the spirit board. Or you put your hands on the pointer and put the pointer onto the spirit board. And close your eyes. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think, like, sort of trailing fingernails down your arm, you feel somebody standing behind you, and they sort of reach around you and place their hands on top of your hands. And you feel the bear sort of moving towards you. You hear the steps. It's not charging anymore. It's just sort of like strolling towards you on all fours. And you hear its breathing get heavier. When you hear a vaguely masculine voice from behind you say that, which music do you like better? The strings or the organ?
I will answer. I will say, I like the organ.
And that's when you hear the voice go, I do as well. And then something sort of grabs you by the hair and yanks you backwards. Tolan, what question did we leave off with you?
We left off with I just blanked. And sorry, it's been a long day. He was talking to the lady sitting on the bed, and had agreed to do or help her or whatever. But he was asking if she was a mermaid, and she was saying that she could help him find a mermaid if he helped her.
Oh, I think she said she could be your mermaid.
Yeah.
She could get you what you wanted.
Right.
You could get her what she wanted.
Yeah. That would be correct. And what is it that she wants?
I want the doors of this place permanently open and broken away so that I can come and go as I wish. Can you assist me with that?
Kind of looks up and is like, you mean like the front door, the doors to the outside, or like?
Yes, the doors to the outside. Installed long ago to keep me here.
What about the doors to the rooms? Do those need to go too, or?
Oh, I can come and go from the rooms as I wish. The doors here are nice. They ensure a little privacy.
Okay. Yeah, I'll find a way to open the doors. Where's that Thatcher? He had an axe.
I'm afraid you don't really understand what keeps me trapped in these doors.
And what is that?
A lack of blood. Emil and Hallig. You see Nerthus's foot, lifeless foot, tapping on the ground in time to the music. What do you do?
I think at this point I might look over at Emil and just be like, to confirm that we're gonna run and get out of here.
Do I still have this? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was gonna say maybe just grab the hatchet on my way out because Emil barely survived that flame, and I might need the hatchet to defend myself. But my impulse at this point, I think, is to run. I think we're on our last leg. And I think both of us probably are feeling it at this point. Like, it's not worth staying here anymore. This house is trying to kill us.
Is this knife still an issue? Is it still in my hand, or did it sort of fly out and graze the shoulder and get stuck in the wall or something? Or am I still kind of?
It's just sort of scattered. It's sort of scattered across the floor.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
All right. Then yeah, I'm like burnt and scream for help and am horrified and ready to run. Alec runs up.
Where are you trying to run to?
I assume out the front door. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
I think this is when you see Iffield sort of come running out of the the games room where she had gone in with Answord and Killian. What do you do when you see that happen? Oh, and one other thing you see, in our modern parlance, we'd call it a tuxedo cat. And in the light of the candelabras that are still in the hallway or still in the gallery, it's just sitting there watching Iffield come running out of that room. And then it turns and looks at you. Iffield, as you come running out of that room, behind you, you see the bear cut off Killian's escape, and then the door slams. As Killian looks like he's not moved, and you can see him just as the last thing reach for the point, put the pointer back on the spirit board.
So I'm like,
the three of you can all see the cat, and you can all see each other. So just to clarify that.
Yeah. At this point, like I'm almost babbling incoherently. I'm like, the bear, it was alive. I just got out. And Zzwar's dead. Killian.
And that's when the door slams.
And I think that's what I noticed. He's come back to the board. I'm like, that idiot.
Well, at this point, I want to say that Hallig is going to walk over to and it's going to walk over to Iffield and ask her, you know, or no. I guess Hallig is contemplating doing something heroic and trying to break down that door. But I think instead he's just going to look at Iffield and be like, just leave him. If we don't leave now, we're all going to end up dead like the rest of them.
Now, Iffield, this is the first time you've heard about anybody besides Zzwar dying.
What's going on?
She says, Nerthus and Worthington, they're both gone too. We've got to get out of here.
And Emil looks terrible. Hallig has clearly been cut. He's still bleeding. Emil looks like he's been hit with something burning and barely extinguished it. Emil, what are you doing during this?
Marching straight for the front door and sort of taking a commanding tone and saying, "We're leaving, Iffield."
It doesn't, the door's locked.
We're leaving.
The door's, it's locked. It's closed.
Grabbing the handle and trying it.
The door is indeed locked.
Yeah, can I find anything else out about this cat by inspecting the scene? Because it does seem like it's a new piece. And perhaps in like my hyper awareness of maybe the adrenaline pumping, it would be the thing that stood out in the.
So paint the picture for me. What are you doing to sort of study the scene? Are you locking eyes with a cat? What's going on here?
Yeah, so Hallig kind of like, I imagine him kind of like puffed up chest and at this point kind of like running on fumes. And so like looking around for like something's got to give. There's got to be like a window or something I can break. And just, you know, kind of like at wit's end. I don't know. Can you still hear any of the music playing in the background?
Yeah, the music is still playing very, very loudly. Are you about to roll discern realities?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, just kind of like hatchet in hand and candelabra, and just like kind of breathing heavily and kind of glancing around through bloodshot eyes.
I will say this: the music is no longer that repeated phrase thing. It's now like the strings and the organ are doing some sort of dancing duet.
So DR is wisdom.
Yeah.
One of the things I actually have. All right. Let's see how this goes. I get an 8. Yeah. No. Yeah, exactly an 8.
So I think you asked me one question off that DR list.
Right. Okay. So I'll say what is useful and or valuable. What here is useful or valuable? I mean, I don't know if I can't really go more specific than that, but
yeah, you notice that all the windows are that kind of a stained glass where the glass stain is not like pressed against each other. They're separated with cast iron. So the windows are not easy to break out or climb out of because there's all these sort of patterned pieces of cast iron that sort of hold the bits of stained glass between them. The door looks really sturdy, like it's going to take a good hit to break down. And as you sort of like do that sort of frantic spinning around thing, you notice the cat get up and, avoiding setting itself on fire very carefully, just sort of nuzzle the candelabra and run its whiskers over it. Tolan, the woman rests her head on your neck and just says, "Dearest, do you know the number 7?
Yeah. I guess it's supposed to be the perfect number, right?
Oh, indeed. It is the perfect number. I'm highly imperfect myself. But those doors are not quite perfect. But they have an air of perfection about them. Someone thinks they've caught me here. And I can't do anything for you while I'm caught here. I can't even find the sea while I'm caught here. I can only look at paintings of it.
That's horrible. You should always be able to see the sea.
And she sort of clucks your chin and just says, "You're the dearest. I've been able to track down 3 hearts, but I need 4 more. It would be terrible if one of them was yours. But I think there are 4 other people still breathing in this house. Could you help me with that?"
I mean, I have to kill them?
Killian. You move backwards and all of a sudden you realize your hands are shackled. Not to each other, but to something sturdy. And you are lying on the altar in the chapel. And your hands are shackled to it. And there's one candle sort of on the far side of the room near the organ. And the organ is clearly being played. There's also a knife at your neck. Sort of right up against sort of your Adam's apple. And a masculine voice just says, "You have so much arcane potential. And you've just been a simple hedge wizard all this time. It would be so sad. You want to fulfill that potential, don't you?"
Yes, I do.
Mm. You should. You should. Unfortunately, I want to fulfill my potential too.
I know this guy's name, right? From the board.
Do you?
We got two names. I can't remember what they were from last week, but it was the name. It seemed like a woman's name and a man's name.
You had two names. You got them over a couple of different sources. Let me get my note out. One second. You had Cynthia and Soma.
Cynthia and Soma.
I think that's what you had, just Cynthia and Soma.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
In fact, they were written right after each other. Cynthia, Soma.
Right. So I may not have been able to distinguish that they were two separate words. I'll just say that. Cynthia Soma, let me help you.
That's when you feel sort of a hand just sort of pat you gently on the head and just say, "Well, on behalf of Lady Cynthia, I'm happy to accept. It would be unfortunate for either of us not to make this out of this alive, wouldn't it?"
I think so.
Well, then, all I need is 4 more living, breathing hearts, and then we both get out with our skins intact. And we can live interesting lives as friends, can't we?
4 more hearts.
4 more hearts. I have 3.
Where
You can help with that, can't you?
I can find hearts.
They need to be recently beating.
Can it be from anything?
Oh, no. I think you know what I mean. And with that, I think let's go to a 10-minute break and come back at 5 after the hour. Welcome back, everybody. I think we're just waiting for Andy.
Hello.
All right. And we are back. So I believe the last thing that happened was that Killian was bound to an altar and being made the same offer that Tolan was, while Emil, Ifield, and Hallig were standing in the hallway. And Hallig, you would just try to discern some realities about the situation and kind of assess what around
Yeah, I
could
might
be useful.
say something like, we can't get through the windows. We got to find another way out, kind of just to share with the others my assessment. I don't know if that's useful, but
And the cat just sort of meows at you, Hallig, as it sort of like nudges its head against sort of the candelabra base where one of the candles is sticking out, glowing brightly. Emil and Ifield, what are you two doing?
I'm still shaking on the doorknob.
You can both hear the bear moving around inside the games room.
So Ifield is going to sit down and like try to visualize herself back at the potter's wheel, just to like try and calm down and stabilize herself, because she recognizes that things are getting really freaky and she's trying to stay calm and not lose it.
And Hallig, you had been thinking wistfully of the alcohol you brought with you, had you not?
yeah. In fact, I think I might take out my plum wine and my whiskey. But first, I guess I'll put my hatchet in my side holster, probably out of habit, just to free up one of my hands, and then I'll drink a little of the plum wine, and I kind of look at the cat and then glance over at. First, I'll glance over at Emil, but then I'll first offer it to after I drink from it over to Ifield. Would you like some?
She's probably not going to notice unless you're like literally
Okay.
nudging her.
Yeah, I'll say Ifield, like to.
She's
Here, have this. It will help with your nerves.
She just kind of takes it without really thinking about it. Getting really startled and skittish. And
Do you drink some?
Yeah. Yeah, she's just gonna take a big swig of it. Because who knows how to deal with this. May as well try.
And Emil, the handle is not coming open.
When I get a sense of that, I'll just start pounding on the door and shouting, "Groundskeeper! Groundskeeper!" in my sort of best authoritative, noble, entitled demand.
I may even, like, emboldened by the wine, I might even, like, take my hatchet and break open a window if I possibly can. And one of the stained glass so that we can. I think yelling is a good idea. And I think that if I could yell for the housekeeper or the greenskeeper through the window, our voice might travel farther.
Halleck, what was the most simultaneously compelling and disturbing thing about the groundskeeper's face when you met him earlier?
I think I'll say that it was entertaining to see that he perhaps had like a hairy mole above his eyebrow that with short, well, I don't know exactly how his hair may have been not so short because he's after all is kind of like a laborer, but I think that it was in plain view and he made no effort to hide it, and that kind of was impressive.
And that's the first thing you see as you strike out sort of like this pane of blue glass. And it just sort of knocks out. You see the mole first in the moonlight and the lights coming out of the house. And then you see his eyes. Emil, what one word would you use to describe these eyes?
Dark.
And you can't really tell. Maybe it's the light. Maybe it's the lack of light. You can't really tell where the iris starts and the center begins. And it's just for a second like large pools of black, not night black, but like empty, dark, void black. Against the bloodshot white. And he locks eye contact with you, Halleck. And he says, "Was there a noble who wanted something?"
Yes, Emil. Get over here.
Open this door right now, man.
I'm so terribly, terribly sorry. Those who rule this house are shut inside until they're let out.
You have a key, don't you?
Oh, I have a key for letting people in.
How big is the hole in the glass? Can I reach through it and try to grab him?
It's about big enough to get up to maybe your shoulder.
Okay. So if I lost my shit and tried to grab his collar and pull him in, I could at least make a go of it.
You could. It's going to be at -1 forward.
All right. Let's do it.
Just because it's, you're going through this very tiny space and it's jagged and glassy.
I'm like, you'll get over here and do what you're told. And I reach out through the glass.
Halleck. No, Emil, sorry. This is what I get when I look away from the window to check the character sheets. Emil, lurch forward. Roll with strength. I'm sorry, you're hacking and slashing here.
All right, cool.
Sorry.
No problem. So I'm rolling 2, and with strength for Emil.
That's going to be -2.
-2, okay. No, it's a natural 5. So -2 makes it a 3.
I think what Ifield and Hallig see is you reach through with this look, but you can't watch what you're doing and reach through at the same time, Emil. So you reach through and you feel something connect, but you can't see what it is. But you are. Do you feel like you'd be fairly proud of the fact that you connected with something there?
Sure.
And I think they see that for a second, they see the old blood shine through in your smile. They see the nobles of old, the old patrician class, which gave way to the nobility, which gave way to the new patrician class, which gave way to another aristocracy. And your family, the Connors, have been at the top of the heap since before recorded history. Maybe not a very big heap, but whatever the local heap was, the Connors have been at the top of it. And you were their only child. You are the sole heir of the Connors, is that correct? Or are there others?
Let's go with the only child.
And you're certainly the only one who has the name.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like your hand catch like the front of his shirt. And what do you say, Emil, as your hand sort of connects with the front of his shirt? And you can't see because you're sort of like your face is sort of pressed against the your face is sort of having to reach through as far as you reach. Your face is sort of like here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your arm is taking up the whole hole that's been knocked out.
I will say.
Or do you do, or anything like that?
Well, if I can, I want to pull him in. And what I want to say to him is, you'll use your key to let you in, and we shall get out.
And you sort of pull him forward, Emil. And he's a sturdy, strong guy. You can feel the muscles of his chest and his arms as you but he seems to be pulled along with you. And he's like, "Oh, of course, my lord. Here's the key. Here's the key." And he presses it into your hand on the other side of the window. You still can't see anything. And you feel your hand closed around the key. And then he grabs your arm and pushes you away. He's got your hand in one hand. He grabs your arm and pushes you away. And then lightning fast, he pulls you back. And he does that 3 or 4 times. And Emil, I'm going to need you to roll a d4.
I just got the 1 hit point left.
Yeah, I know. I just, you know,
You wanna-
D4,
How
just
dead?
the dismal mechanical drama.
That's right. Okay. That's a 3.
And I think after the third time, and this happens super fast, both the red glass that your face is banging into as he kind of pushes you away and pulls you in really quickly, and your forehead breaks simultaneously. And in that red sort of garnet colored glass is just sort of dripping with the blood from Emil's forehead as Emil just stops moving. And you both hear the key clink sliding out of Emil's hand. And then you hear the footsteps start to walk away. As Emil is just sort of suspended by his one arm, hanging dead from the front of the windows. And I think simultaneously, the person that Killian's talking to and the person that Tolan is talking to, their eyes get very bright, and they're like, I think we only need 3. You can handle 3, can't you? Tolan and Killian, how do you respond to this request?
Tolan's still kind of taken back by the thought of killing the others, because he's made the connection of, oh, I came in here with 7 people and now you're saying 4 of them are dead. Like, he's kind of realized that he's not, but now he's kind of starting to realize this may be more of a survival thing than just getting what he wants. Getting what he wants is cake on top, so he kind of gulps big and yeah, 3, that's no problem. How did the others die?
And Killian, what about you?
Killian says,
I think you know what I mean.
I can bring you 3. Tell me where you keep the others. Let me pass through the house unharmed, and I will bring them to you.
Oh. How can I say no to you? And the manacles sort of pop open. Tolan, she's like, "Oh, you'll really bring me the 3?"
Just kind of a big gulp again and shaking his head yes.
Oh, the others died in just terrible, terrible ways. It's an awful house, really. There was a fireplace accident. There was a kitchen accident. And then one of them tried to hurt me.
Oh.
And then one of them got very cross with the groundskeeper. He was very high-strung about people being cross with him.
Then I guess I better be on my way.
Yes, you better. Just remember, you're the only thing that stands between your friends and painful fates.
So it'd be a mercy.
You look a merciful person. soft heart, I've always said about you. Now, once this is done, to the sea, not the knee-high sea with all those eels. No, the big, wide open ocean. Where you always wanted to go.
Gulps again and starts, shakes his head, kind of backs his way. Yes, I'll be on my way so we can go as soon as possible.
Killian, the manacles have come undone.
And you seem like he's going to tell me where he keeps the other hearts, or where he wants me to bring the rest to?
Oh, no. Oh, sorry. No, you don't have to take them anywhere. That'd be messy. No. Just make sure they're available. I think you know what I mean, don't you? You're very bright.
And when you have them?
Well, as long as they're recently beating, but not beating when I've got them. That's so droll. Then, you can go.
Is that all?
Is that all? Oh, you want arcane power, don't you?
I do.
There's standard contracts that will have to be signed, but I think with this great service you're about to provide me could into very favorable terms. The world may indeed be your oyster, and not one of those swamp oysters. Tastes like mud.
I would sign. Have you a contract?
I suppose you want to sign now, don't you?
Well, yes. Before the labor's done.
He pulls out a very, very small knife from somewhere sort of underneath the altar. And he pricks his own finger and sort of touches it against your forehead where it burns. There's sort of an intense burning sensation. And then he hands you the knife.
And when he does this, do I get a sense that this is the contract signed and done and what the terms are?
Oh, no. He needs equal consideration from you.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that means, in other words, I have to sort of draw some blood and.
You need to do 1 point of damage to yourself.
Okay. Let's see if I can survive that. Yes. Damage done.
He sort of looks at where you cut your finger and then sort of is very gentle with your hand for a moment. And then he then puts the bleeding finger into his mouth, where the pain doesn't go away, but the blood stops. And then he moves your hand back towards you and pulls his hand away from your forehead.
Before he does that, can I make a request in the contract?
Sure.
I wanted to ask him to let us go, and I'll bring him 3 others.
Oh, no. Do you know how many people have told me they're going to bring me 3 others?
Signed in blood.
Signed in blood. Offered me their children. Offered me their spouses. Just not ever whoever they came here with. Oh, no, my good and faithful servant. You know that's what you are now, right?
Contracted labor, I like to say. As I say to the masters when I trim their hedges. Certain terms, certain deeds, and certain payment.
Now, be a good boy. Bring me what I asked for before I have to ask for it again.
Very well.
Tolan and Killian, where are you going? What are you doing?
I think I come out of the room a little bit distraught, but looking for the others. Don't
Killian,
remember
what about you?
I'm sorry?
What about you?
What do I do next?
Yeah.
I'll exit I believe I'm in the chapel.
Yeah. Are you going out the door towards the gallery?
Yes, towards the others.
So I think Tolan and Killian, you both open the doors to the chapel and to this as yet unexplored bedroom at the same time. And you see Emil's body just sort of hanging from the glass. Ifield and Hallig are standing there. And the music has gotten more weird and complex, and the organ is switched to this disturbing minor key that does not match the string instruments at all. And as Killian opens that door to the chapel, it is exceptionally loud. And the 4 of you are in the room together. And Hallig, the cat is on the stairs and begins to arch its back and hiss. Not looking at you, looking side to side at the 2 recently opened doors. What do the 4 of you do?
I, kind of nervously, I go up to the front where Emil is hanging there, and kind of look at the others, and I'm just like, what happened here? I can't believe you would just leave him hanging there. That's so disrespectful. He'll start kind of, acting like he's going to pull Emil down, but what he's really doing is trying to take Emil's sword.
I'm like, with the change in the music, this is really freaky. So like, I'm backing myself up against a wall as I reach for the club that I've been carrying with me. Because I don't know what's going on.
And Holly, what about you?
I think Halig is just I don't know. I think he's had it with this cat. He doesn't really understand why this cat is still sticking around and what it means and what it's doing. However, he's like, I guess he's going to mention to the others that like they lock the doors on us and the greenskeeper won't let us out. So he's going to pick up his hatchet and I think he'll actually turn toward the door and actually try to start hacking away at, or maybe around the handle, see if he can open it and budge it.
Killian, what about you?
Killian's going to try to get Ilfid's attention, and he's going to sort of beckon to her and say, "Ilfid, I found a way out. Come with me."
I'm just kind of, because the last time I saw him, he was stuck in the room, and so like
the room, not the room he came out of.
No, yeah, I'm trying to ascertain like what's going on here. Is this even the real Killian? Like, I don't know what to believe at this point, and I'm trying to figure out if this is someone I can actually trust.
There's a secret passage. Come.
Like, is he behaving in any particularly off way?
So you're sort of studying his demeanor. Why don't you discern realities?
Okay. I believe that's a 9.
Why don't you ask me a question?
What is about to happen?
I'll defer to Killian on that. Killian, what 3 things does Iffield see that would suggest what's about to happen?
There'd be a strange fingerprint on my forehead.
In blood.
Blood. There'd be a knife in my hand, not too well concealed behind my back. A knife that I didn't have a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the look in my eyes is no longer the sort of dreamy, naive boy you used to know, but has a very sinister intent in them now.
Yeah, I'm extending the club and say, get away from me. There's something very wrong with you.
Don't you want to get out, Ilfid?
Halig and Tolan, you're both standing by the door, and Halig was cracking away with the hatchet, correct? And Tolan, you were trying to snag Emil's sword, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I think lashing out at a physical thing to try to escape is sort of defying danger. Let's roll with strength. Halig.
All right. Got a -1, yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, I get 11. Wait.
Oh, wow.
I get a 10 because I have -1.
With a crack, you put your shoulder into it at just the right moment, and they bend forward, sort of less, with the blade, and more with just you putting all your weight behind it. And then when they come back, the lock pops out. And they bounce open sort of towards you. And that's when the groundskeeper turns around, and he's in a flash of lightning outside. It's not raining, but it's doing that thing that you've seen it do on the marsh 100 times, or the swamps 100 times, where it's just lightning, an occasional thunder, no extra rain. And there's a flash of lightning kind of from far away, and in the light from his own cabin, and the moon coming from another part of the sky that's not clouded. You see him stop and turn around and break into a smile and pick up his scythe and start moving slowly towards you, howling. Actually, Tolan, what do you do?
So now, is there a hole in the door? Is that right?
Oh no, it's popped open.
Oh, it's popped open. Okay.
Yeah. It bowed forward, and then when it kind of came back, it sort of popped its own lock out.
To the point where we can see through it.
Oh no, it's open.
No. Oh, it's just open. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that groundskeeper coming in, I kind of get an idea with that, and Alec, get back, let him come in here, and then we'll take him.
I do as he says.
Yeah, I take that sword and I kind of hide, try and stay to this one side of the door so that, I'm kind of hidden as the groundskeeper comes in. At least that's the plan.
Iffield and Killian, you heard that lock pop open. What are the two of you doing? When you feel the wind sort of in the hall, and the cat is still hissing very loudly.
I want to look real quick and see if the door has actually been, knocked open, but I'm going to try and not take my eye off of Killian.
And Killian, what about you?
Oh. He's moving in closer and he's saying, Ilfid, you should run. You should run, Ilfid.
This definitely confuses me. Because that feels like the smart thing to do. And if he's not trustworthy, why is he telling me to do the smart thing?
What do you do?
So who else? Hollig is Hollig's been chopping at the door.
He's backed away from it a little bit now, kind of probably more towards the center, because because Tolan told him to kind of back up. Tolan grabbed the sword from the dead Emil.
I'm going to just kind of lash and lunge out with the club to see if I can create some space before I try running, because I don't want Killian fresh on my heels if he's going to chase me.
So let's call that, you're going to hack and slash.
That's a 6.
Killian, she lunges wildly out to sort of, with the club at you. What do you do? Are you going to take the opportunity and lunge forward with a knife? Or are you going to try to, or not try to, are you going to knock her down? What are you going to do?
I'll see if I can grab hold of her arm and pull her in.
Yeah, you think that's you? Are you trying to separate her from the club, or are you trying to sort of pin her to you?
Yeah, the latter.
Yeah, you've got her pinned to you.
Okay. And where am I in proximity to the door where the bear is?
Let's say about 20 feet or so.
Okay. And I'm going to say, if you'll stay close to me. Stay close to me. And I'm going to move with her toward that door. I found us a way out. I failed. And my goal is to get to the door and to open it and release the bear.
So you're moving that direction towards the games room, which is sort of, effectively, roughly where everyone's sort of congregating there towards the front. Hallig, you're the one sort of in the line of sight for the groundskeeper, who's now coming up the stairs with his scythe out front, coming towards you. What do you do? Not Killian, sorry. Hallig, sorry.
Mm-hmm. What does Hallig do?
Yeah.
If he's still like 10 or more feet away from me, I think I might just let the candelabra down and like maybe throw a bottle of whiskey at him or something, like throw my last just to slow him down, piss him off, throw him off. Like, I'm trying to do it defensively. I don't know that it's necessarily going to take him out, but
why don't you volley?
Okay. All right, so my volley is a 7. So what is that? Expend the ammo or something. Hold on. I get to choose one.
Ammo is not really a thing for thrown objects, so
I guess I'll just take what I can get and do the minus damage.
Yeah.
Okay. That one seems dangerous.
Oh, considering your damage die is a D4 and it's minus a D6.
Hey, I like my chances.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so do I roll damage? I mean, do I roll that?
Yeah, roll a D4 and then roll a D6.
Okay.
I mean, you can't go below 0 on damage.
Yeah. So I do get a 4 with my D4.
What'd you get on the 6?
And I got a 2 on the 6.
So you do 2 damage. and the bottle breaks. And what are you doing there, Tullen?
I'm
He
still
just
kind of
throws a bottle at the.
I'm still
Right,
kind of
keeper.
keeping quiet, waiting on the guy to come in to surprise him. But I'm also kind of keeping, hearing Killian and Ifil kind of shuffling around and whatnot.
Oh yeah, they're kind of crossing path. You can see them moving towards the games room.
So I'm kind of keeping an eye on them, trying to figure out what they're doing. But I'm more
And you have
concerned.
no idea, Tolan, what's in the games room.
Yeah.
Everybody else does. You don't.
Yeah, no, I'm keeping an eye on them, trying to figure out what they're doing, but I'm more worried about the gamekeeper at the moment. And surprising him is my intention.
You just want to let the bear out, correct?
Yeah.
So you just want to grab the door, kind of paint the scene for me. You're kind of going to grab the door and kick it open, or?
Yeah, it opens inwards, I guess, to the
Yeah.
game room. Yeah, all right. So yeah, I'll throw the door open and sort of summon the bear out, trusting that.
Are you using Ifil as a shield, or are you just trying to keep her out of harm's way?
I wouldn't actually. The mental calculus is this: the bear kills Halig and oh, sorry, I'm terrible at this.
Tolan?
Tolan, yeah, and the groundskeeper. I'm counting groundskeeper as heart 3, which I don't know if it's going to work out or not. And hoping to then become wizard and save Ifield. So plan is kick open the door, let the bear out, and believing that this contract will protect me from the bear, I can shield Ifield and direct it toward them. Sorry, guys.
I'm going to need you to stand in defense of Ifield.
Okay, that's a move, yeah.
Yeah.
With strength.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, no, it's con. Sorry, I apologize.
Okay. What's my con? Con's a 0. Can't make a dex.
No. Can't make it dex.
I got a 7.
All right, so
I am interfering because I don't like any of what he's doing. I'm just like dragging my feet and trying to smash him with the club and all of that. And I definitely think the bond enables me to do that because he is trying to protect me. So,
oh yeah. So why don't you roll +1?
That is a 7. So I'm giving him -2. This is going to end terribly, and I love it.
I think one of the most frightening things about bears is they're terrifying when you see them, and they're gigantic and they're large, and you see them 100 feet away, and the next thing you know, they're right next to you because they move faster than their massive forms would suggest they are capable of doing so. When you open the room, when you open that door, Killian, the bear is on the far side of it. And it bounds as if it was a gigantic bear-shaped missile towards you from across that room that seems so large. Oh, and did I mention that when you open the door, there's Answorth's body dancing in time to the music? With a massive dent still in his head where the log impacted it. And the bear clears his body and bounds towards you. Halleck, you can't see this. You are very focused on the groundskeeper coming up those stairs and the missile you just threw. Tolan, you can. The three of you who can see this, what do you do? Iffield, you can push Killian towards the bear. Or you can take whatever, which would pushing him towards the bear mechanically would mean he has a -1 forward in anything he does to avoid to try to get away from the bear or to hurt the bear. Or you can hold on to him and let the bear come at you as one.
I am pushing him because things are freaky and something's wrong with him. And sorry, Killian, but I need to get out of here alive.
Killian and Tolan, what's going on there?
I think, I'm seeing this, and I'm realizing I'm kind of in between a rock and a hard place. With groundskeeper on one end and a bear on the other. But the way I see it, I also have 2 meat shields between me and the bear. So I want to still, worry about the groundskeeper, but I'm not going to say anything to Halleck about the bear.
Killian, what about you?
So, what would I know or believe about nefarious contracts with evil spirits? Because my understanding was the terms that I made with the spirit was I would give him 3 hearts from among my people in the house, and he would allow me to pass through the house unharmed. So I may be acting with the belief that the bear will pass through me, or that I don't need to avoid it. Is that fair? I mean, I may get hurt or not, but I'm assuming that I will not be harmed. And so, I don't even know what I bother to step aside. I think not. I think I would just turn to face the others and hold up my arms and wait for the bear to pass through me.
I think let's flash to a very standstill for the moment and have you roll with intelligence.
Okay. Into the 0. There we go. That's a 4 plus 0.
I think what you realize is that you had a golden opportunity and it would look to an observer like you did not take that golden opportunity with that dagger. I think what you also realize, Killian, is you don't have to be alive to be useful to a demon. And that's when you hear the bear about to land. What do you do?
How would you define the limits of prestidigitation?
What do you want to do with it?
Well, in my head, it's like making objects disappear and then appear somewhere else.
Yes.
And normally like small coins and cards and things like that. I'm wondering if I might do that with a charging bear.
You know, we're 2 minutes over time, so why don't you see if you can do that with a charging bear?
What do I got to roll with? Is that
Let's roll with intelligence.
Okay. That's +0 again. 2 dumb moves in a row. Let's see. No, it's 11.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Where do you want the bear to appear?
I wanted to appear. I wanted to like look like it jumped at me and then appeared right on the other side of me. So even though the demon didn't give me the pass through, I'm going to give it to myself. So it'll jump through. It'll look like it jumps through me and then at Tolan and Hallie. Oh, unless Ilfid's in the way, then that's the first stop.
I think Tolan is the farthest. Iffield and Hallig are the closest. Iffield, were you watching Killian as you pushed him towards the bear?
No, I would have turned around and run for the door after I did that.
And Hallig, you had your eyes on the
Greenskeeper or groundskeeper.
yeah.
Over there.
Iffield, you're dashing for the door to try to get out of this damn house. Why don't you roll with dexterity as you try to defy danger and get the hell out?
That is a 7.
So do you want to get caught on the swamp side of the patio with the groundskeeper between you and the stairs? Or do you want to be pinned beneath the raging bear?
I'll take my chances with the groundskeeper.
Hallig, you see Iffield go darting out the door. And as she tries to evade the groundskeeper, he very artfully lowers the scythe so that the handle of the scythe is sort of between her. And you know that side of the porch just sort of goes out over sort of a bog. Or that side of the patio just goes out over the bog. And he has her sort of caught between the bog and the stairs, and he's distracted. And that's when you notice a bear about to land on top of you. What do you do? And that is Hallig. And you are muted, Tony.
So yeah, can I dash out the door? And I was thinking more like evade out the door, kind of roll.
Just sort of roll out the door. And you still have the candelabra in your hand, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Um,
So you try to roll out the door so that the bear lands not on you.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, roll with dexterity.
Okay. Sure, nothing, no modifier. Yeah. Okay, so I get a 6.
Oh.
Get flattened.
Howling, let's come back to you as the bear knocks you down and sort of lands on top of you. And you see Killen and Tolan lock eyes. What are the two of you doing? Tolan, you saw the bear disappear right before it collided with Killian and reappear just as Iffield ran and Howling went down underneath the bear.
Yeah, so whenever I saw the bear coming, I started pulling out my fishing net, and now that the bear is on top of Haleg and I'm distracted with him, and kind of locking eyes with Killian, I definitely, knowing that he's this hedge wizard, whatnot, I figured he had something to do with the making it appear and disappear. So I'm going to try throwing my net on Killian. Him up.
Just to try to restrain him?
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you volley?
Okay. Come on. That is a 5.
You start to throw the net, Tolan, as the bear grabs Halig's and sort of bites down at his shirt and is trying to rip it away and throws him just with its neck towards you. And Halig's body hits you. And then your head hits the wall by the door jamb. By the glass portion of the door, and your head just starts to go through the glass portion of the door. And let's go back to Iffield.
Okay, so I'm kind of stuck here with the creepy groundskeeper in my way.
There is a bog behind you if you jump off the porch, and a man with a scythe in front of you. and he reeks of alcohol, and he's wet and dripping with it.
Well, to be fair, I might also reek of alcohol.
Oh, no. He's doused in alcohol.
Ah.
However, I don't think you had a candelabra with you.
No, I don't believe so.
The ones behind you are in the gallery that you just ran out of.
I think I'm gonna.
Howland did, and his body is getting tossed around by a bear.
I think I'm gonna drop my stuff and just dive for the marsh.
Why don't you roll with dexterity again?
That is a 7.
Are you going to let him get a swipe on you, but land on your feet, where you can make a run for it? Or are you going to go tumbling down the stairs?
I will take the swipe and land on my feet.
Why don't you roll a d6, Iffield?
Ooh, that's a 5.
Killian, it may not work exactly the way you want it to, but things are looking good. But what I need everybody who's not Killian to do, as the bear turns around to look at you, Killian, is roll last gasp or last breath. And remember, you roll plus nothing.
Ooh.
That's a 6 for me.
I got a 3.
How'd you do, Howling?
Got exactly a 7. So
Oh.
maybe a deal.
Iffield's body, or Iffield dives down the stairs and catches her arm on the railing and looks like she's just going to get scratched in the back when the groundskeeper switches the angle of the scythe. And Iffield's body nails the landing at the base as if it's ready to just go sprinting off into the night. But then Iffield's head comes tumbling down the stairs behind it, and everything just sort of collapses forward as the groundskeeper turns towards the house. Tolan, your head goes through a crack in the glass, or a space in the glass that's just big enough for it. Actually, a little bigger. And initially, it doesn't seem like it's done significant damage to you, other than making your head bleed and hurt. But then you try to get out of it, and you realize that part of the glass did not break away, and it goes straight through your neck. And you bleed out there with your head through the door. Hallie, you're laying on the ground and everything hurts. And you can hear the last gasp of Tolan, and you see Ifield's head go rolling down the stairs behind her body. And you close your eyes, and then that's when you feel the cat's paw on the hand that still has the candelabra clutched in it. And you hear the cat whisper, "The only way out is to burn down everything." Killian, it seems like despite your hesitation, everything has succeeded the way you were asked to do it. What are you doing? The bear is still moving around. It's going to sniffle at Hallig's body.
So as far as I can tell,
The groundskeeper is looking at you approvingly.
Okay. So from my perception, it seems like they're all dead.
It looks like they're all dead.
Okay. Then I guess I am waiting for my arcane powers. Deal done. Where's the juice? So I think I might say something like, I guess I'm sort of like looking around, waiting for Soma, is it, or Sona, to arrive and hold up his end of the bargain. I may pet the bear while I'm waiting.
Hallig, you feel the bear sort of nuzzling your cheek. And you see Killian come over and start to like run his hand through the bear's fur. From somewhere back behind Killian, somewhere over you guys, way upstairs, you start to hear a slow applause. Hallig, you can just close your eyes and let it all go. Or you can do what the cat asks. What are you going to do?
Hallig's never been a fan of nobles, so he's gonna or I'm sorry, actually he's a hedge wizard, not the noble. Hallig has never been, he's fatalistic, but he's never been one to give up. So he will take the candelabra and look for the nearest source of fuel, which might be the discarded plum wine. It might be the gardener if the gardeners move closer, or sorry, the
groundskeeper.
Yeah,
it was standing in the doorway, not very far from where you are.
Yeah, I think that I think he's probably the most flammable. The bear may be very flammable as well. And if it's a matter of just lifting this candelabra up to the bear, then I think that's probably, I don't know.
The groundskeeper seems like the better bet.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go for it.
Burning the bear may only succeed in making the bear mad.
I know, and I've already felt that bear's wrath once.
Yeah. Why don't you roll hack and slash?
Okay. Make sure. I think I just have a minus. Yeah. Okay. So I have a -1. There it goes. I get an 8. Yeah.
You lunge forward with the candelabra. I'd like you to roll a d10.
Okay. All right, I got a 1. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Starts to burn, but he's kind of flailing around and trying to put himself out, and the bear backs away into the house. And the applause stops and the music stops. Killian, the bear looks agitated and upset. And now the groundskeeper is on fire and Howling is moving. What do you do? You may be muted.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out if. Well, it looks like 2 people almost dead to me, and the groundskeeper being 1. He's like lit. He's like burning down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll turn to the source of the clapping, and I'll point to Ilfid's head and say 1. And I'll point to Toland's body and say 2. And then I'll point to the burning groundskeeper and I'll say 3.
And you hear an exasperated sigh and just don't let him burn anything down.
And then I will turn to Halig and I'll say, I've done what I can. You should go.
Halig probably just shrugs, just looks Killian in the eye, and briefly, and then just gets the hell out of there. He's able to.
Halig, let's have you. And you've got a bear nearby and a burning person. So let's have you defy danger with dexterity to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I got a 10.
And I think you get clear of the house. But then you see the cat's eyes sort of glisten in the moonlight. which is coming from the west. The sky to the east is cloudy. And it says, "You didn't finish. Now we have more work to do." Killian, what do you do to prevent the burning groundskeeper from burning the entire house down?
He's on the porch.
Oh, he's sort of in the door now.
Oh. Can I stick the bear on him? Are we cool like that, me and the bear? Or is the bear too freaked out by like the fire and the...
Why don't you just roll with intelligence again?
Okay.
Tell me how you do.
Take these orange ones. 4.
Um, you how did you try to get the bear to lunge at the
Maybe I've seen like shepherds call their sheepdogs and the kind of whistles and points that they would do, and I tried to do something similar. So like
All right, so you do that, and there's a pause. And the bear lands even before you see it move in the middle of the flaming groundskeeper. And at first you just think you see that you smell the smoke of the bear sort of like putting the groundskeeper out. And then the bear goes up in flames. And before you can do much, it just starts to spread. And then you're surrounded by smoke and fire. You see an ambiguously androgynous figure sort of moving through the flames towards the front door. I'd like you to just roll.
okay, 2d6.
Mm-hmm.
10.
A 10?
Mhm.
And then they sigh and they sort of grab you by your hair. And the next thing you know, you're somewhere in the swamp. You're on a dune with that kind of thick, resiny smell that the Everslough has. And you're watching the house burn. And you hear that voice again. You just say like, "Well, now we don't have a house anymore, but at least you got me out of it." And I think that's where we're going to end. I'd like to do a quick debrief. As you know, I'm still at my office. But I'm going to stop the broadcast.